A simple party trick by my wife spiraled into chaos, leaving me humiliated cuckold in front of our entire social circle. Be me, living what seemed like a perfect life. 28 years old and thought I had it all figured out. Living in Denver with beautiful mountain views. Working as a software developer, making decent money. Wife Victoria always loved being center of attention. She planned this huge fall harvest party at our place. Decorations everywhere, pumpkins and autumn leaves all over the house. Should have known something was off that night. Victoria was acting different, more animated than usual. Party gets packed with friends and strangers. Music playing, drinks flowing. People complimenting Victoria on the autumn decorations. Victoria mingling with everyone, laughing too loud. Making sure she's at the heart of every conversation. I'm just sipping my whiskey, trying to stay calm. Watching her work the room like it's her personal stage. Notice she keeps glancing at her phone, smiling at texts. Then she starts teasing about some surprise coming later. Everyone whispering about what she might do. I've seen that look in her eyes before. That playful, dangerous glint when she's planning something. Around 11 p.m., she calls me over in front of everyone. My gut already telling me something's wrong. The autumn breeze through the open windows feels colder somehow. Victoria pulls out a silk blindfold, grinning like she's about to change my whole world. Everyone starts chanting for me to play along. Part of me wants to refuse. Not big on surprises, especially from Victoria when she's like this. But with half the party watching, and everyone encouraging me, I give in, thinking what's the worst that could happen. Standing in our living room, blindfolded. Victoria circling me like a predator. Can hear her whispering to someone. More laughter, music gets turned down low. Every instinct screaming that something's wrong. Heart pounding but trying to keep it together. No idea what's about to happen. Then I feel her move behind me. Hear another voice. A man's voice. Too close. Breath right next to my ear. My pulse racing now. This has gone too far already. What kind of sick game is this? Room goes dead silent for a moment. Soft chuckle breaks through the tension. Suddenly hands that aren't Victoria's on my shoulders. That's when I rip off the blindfold. Heart practically exploding. Expecting to see someone joking around. But my stomach drops to the floor. It's not a joke at all. Standing there with the smuggest look is Daniel, our neighbor for the past 3 years, his arm wrapped around Victoria like he owns her, like he's been waiting for this moment. Room erupts in awkward laughter, but my ears are ringing. Can't hear anything but my own heartbeat. Lock eyes with Victoria. She doesn't even flinch, doesn't look sorry at all. Victoria says surprise with this mocking edge in her voice, like I should be laughing along with everyone else. All I can see is Daniel's smug face, the way Victoria's body leans into his. Too familiar, too comfortable. This isn't some joke anymore. This is something much worse. For a moment, I'm completely frozen. Brain still trying to process what's happening. Standing there watching my wife practically draped over Daniel, like it's the most natural thing in the world. Room buzzing with nervous laughter. But I barely hear any of it. Victoria, what the hell is this? I manage to say. Try to keep my voice steady. It cracks in the middle anyway. Can feel my face getting hot. Cold rush of anger flooding through me. Hands clenching into fists at my sides. Autumn decorations suddenly feel suffocating. The string lights casting weird shadows on their faces. Thought this was supposed to be some kind of joke. But no one's really laughing anymore. Victoria doesn't even pull away from him. Instead, tilts her head to the side. Gives me that condescending look. The one she uses when she thinks I'm being too serious. Oh, don't be so dramatic, she says. Rolling her eyes like I'm the problem. It's just Daniel, relax. Relax? Is she actually insane? Just Daniel? Why the hell is just Daniel touching you like that? Voice comes out louder than intended. Everyone's eyes on us now. Music stops completely. Air feels heavy. Like everyone's holding their breath, waiting to see what happens next. Daniel doesn't say a word. Of course he doesn't. Just stands there grinning, like he's in on some private joke. One I was clearly left out of. Want to knock that smug look right off his face, but I need to hear her say it. Need her to admit what's going on. Even though everything inside me is screaming the truth, Victoria just shrugs like it's no big deal. We've been hanging out, she says casually. You know how close Daniel and I are. Hanging out? I repeat. Voice dripping with disbelief. You think this looks like hanging out? She finally takes a step away from him. Not because she feels guilty. She's just annoyed that I'm making a scene. That I'm not playing along with whatever twisted game this is. Look, it's harmless, she says. Brushing it off like we're talking about spilling a drink. Everyone's having fun. Why do you have to make it weird? Can't believe what I'm hearing. Why do I have to make it weird? Mind racing? Trying to piece together how we got here. Was this some sick fantasy of hers? Had she been planning this the whole time? Or had I just been blind to everything? The worst part is not knowing how long this has been going on. How many times had Daniel been at our house? Right under my nose? All those neighborhood barbecues, those movie nights he hosted, the times Victoria went to help with his garden. What the hell did hanging out even mean? Take a step closer, voice shaking with barely controlled rage. How long, Victoria? How long has this been going on? For just a second, there's something in her eyes. A flicker of guilt, maybe, or fear, but it's gone as fast as it appeared, replaced by that cold indifference. That's killing me more than any confession could. She crosses her arms over her chest, gets defensive now. Why does it matter? It's not like it's a big deal. Not a big deal? Feel like my head might explode. Is she seriously downplaying this? My entire life being ripped apart right in front of me, and she's acting like it's nothing. Like I'm the one overreacting. Glance around at our friends, the ones still standing there, pretending not to watch. But I know they are. How long had they known? Did they know at all? Were they all just waiting for this moment? For Victoria's grand reveal. For my whole world to crumble. Can't take it anymore. Grab my jacket from the coat rack. Storm out of the house. Cold night air hits like a slap to the face. But nothing could cool the fire burning inside. Walk down the street. Phone buzzes in my pocket. Message from Victoria. You're overreacting. It's not what you think. But I don't need to think anymore. I've seen enough. Stare at her message. Feel the weight of every word. The absolute nerve of her to send that. Not what you think. What is she trying to sell me now? Every step away from that house feels heavy. Like I'm pulling away from the life I thought I knew. But also feels like waking up. Like I've been stupid enough to believe in a dream for too long. Shove the phone back in my pocket. Keep walking. Trying to piece everything together. Mind racing through memories. All the signs I was too blind to see before. Little things starting to surface. The way she'd been spending more time at Daniel's place recently. Always had some excuse that didn't quite feel right. Oh, Daniel got a new entertainment system. Just helping Daniel with his new puppy. He's been too busy to take care of things himself. And I believed her, because of course I did. Why wouldn't I? Daniel had been our neighbor for years. Shared countless dinners together. Celebrated birthdays. Went camping that one summer. We'd grilled steaks together. Shared beers. Laughed over stupid jokes at local bars. Never crossed my mind there might be more going on. But now all those moments feel different. Like puzzle pieces finally falling into place. The late night texts she'd get from him. Random phone calls. Inside jokes that didn't include me. Every time I questioned it, she'd brush me off. Tell me I was being paranoid. That I was overthinking things. I told myself I was being ridiculous. Didn't want to be that guy. The jealous, insecure husband. Who reads too much into everything. Except now it was all there. Staring me right in the face. Wind picks up. Leaves swirling around my feet. Denver skyline glowing in the distance. Keep walking until I reach Washington Park. Swings creaking in the wind. Streetlights casting long shadows. Across the empty playground. Sit on one of the benches. Head in my hands. Trying to calm the storm in my chest. How had I been so blind? How had I missed all the signs? More importantly, how had she managed to convince me it was all nothing? Keep replaying the night in my head. Over and over. Victoria leaning into Daniel. Like it was the most normal thing. His hand casually resting on her hip. Like he'd done it 1,000 times before. The way she didn't flinch. Didn't try to hide it. That's the part that stings the most. There was no shame. No guilt. Just pure indifference. Like I was some annoyance. Getting in the way of her fun. Like I was being unreasonable. For questioning what was happening. Phone buzzes again. Another message. Hesitate before reading it. Finger hovering over the screen. Can we talk about this when you calm down? You're blowing it out of proportion. Can't believe what I'm reading. I'm sitting here, barely holding myself together, while she's probably still at the party, playing it off like I'm having some emotional breakdown. Over nothing. As if catching her with Daniel wasn't enough proof. That something was very wrong. Thunder rumbles in the distance. Perfect weather for my mood. Want to scream? Want to break something? Instead, type back, hands shaking with anger and disbelief. Blowing it out of proportion? I caught you with him, Victoria. You didn't even try to hide it. There's a pause before her next message. This time feels like she's trying harder. Like she knows I won't just roll over and accept her excuses. Look, I know how it must have looked. But nothing's going on with me and Daniel. It was just a joke. A dumb prank, okay? You've been stressed lately. I thought it'd be funny to mess with you. I didn't mean for it to go this far. A joke? She's still pushing that angle, still trying to gaslight me, into thinking I imagined the whole thing, that it was all some harmless prank I'd overreacted to, but I'm not buying it anymore. Can't. No way I'm letting her twist this into something it's not. Stand up from the bench, start pacing back and forth, thoughts spiraling out of control. Is this really who she is? Someone who would humiliate me in front of our friends, then lie straight to my face about it. I'd spent years with this woman, thinking we were building a life together, trusting her more than anyone in the world. Now it's like the ground split open beneath my feet, revealing something I don't want to see, but I can't look away anymore. This isn't just a prank, it's a betrayal, one she isn't even sorry for. Fire off one last text before shoving phone back in pocket. Come clean, Victoria. I'm not a F***seeking idiot. The truth hangs in the air between us. I know it. She knows it. No going back now. Phone doesn't buzz for a while. Honestly, not sure if I want it to. Wind picks up again. Trees creaking above me. Air feels thick, like waiting for a bomb to drop, knowing it's coming, but not knowing when. Sit back down on the bench, staring at the empty street, wondering how the hell to deal with this. Mind keeps spinning in circles. Was it really just a prank? No. I'd seen the way Daniel looked at her, the casual way he touched her, like it was nothing new. That kind of comfort doesn't come from a one-off joke. That comes from something deeper, something that's been building, God knows how long. Distant city lights mock me with their normalcy, like the world isn't falling apart. Just as I'm getting ready to stand up, phone lights up again. Another message from her? Fine, if you want to talk about it, come back. But don't act like I'm the only one to blame here. You've been distant for months. You barely notice me anymore. And yeah, maybe I got too close to Daniel. But it's because you checked out. Don't act like I'm crazy for wanting attention. There it is, the shift. The moment she decides to flip this whole mess back onto me, classic move, can practically hear her voice. That manipulative tone, when she wants to twist the narrative, make herself look like the victim. Suddenly it's not about her betrayal. It's about me being distant. About me not giving her the attention she needed. Feel my blood boil. Fingers clenching around the phone. How dare she? How dare she try to pin this on me? I'm not the one sneaking around with the neighbor. Not the one crossing boundaries. Not the one disrespecting our marriage. But now she's trying to act like this is my fault. Like I somehow drove her into Daniel's arms. Don't even know how to respond. Too much swirling in my head. Too much anger. Too much hurt. Before I can figure out what to say, phone starts ringing. It's Victoria. Hesitate for a second, then swipe to answer. Are you done throwing a tantrum yet? Her voice sharp, cutting through the silence. No apology, no guilt. Just irritated that I'm not falling in line. A tantrum? You're calling this a tantrum? Voice comes out strained. I caught you, Victoria. You were all over Daniel, in front of everyone, and now you're trying to make this my fault. Like I haven't been doing everything I can to keep this marriage together, while you're out there making me look like an idiot? She sighs, loud and exaggerated. I'm not making you look like an idiot. You're doing that on your own. By blowing this out of proportion, nothing happened, okay? Daniel and I have just been spending time together. Because honestly, you've been checked out. I needed someone to talk to. And you weren't there. Can hear cars passing in the distance. Someone's dog barking. Life going on like nothing's changed. Can't believe what I'm hearing. So you think getting close to him like that is the answer? Humiliating me in front of everyone? She doesn't respond right away. Can hear her breathing on the other end. Probably figuring out her next move. When she finally speaks, her tone is cold, detached. You've been ignoring me for months. And yeah, I got close to Daniel. He pays attention. He actually cares. Maybe if you did the same, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Feel like I've been slapped in the face. She's really doing it. Really shifting all the blame onto me. Like getting cozy with Daniel was somehow a reasonable response. To me, not paying attention. That's your excuse? My voice comes out low, dangerous. That I haven't been paying enough attention to you? So you start spending all your time with him? Touching him like that? Flirting with him in front of me? And you expect me to just what? Accept that? I'm not saying I'm perfect. She snaps back. But maybe if you weren't so wrapped up in your own world, you'd have noticed how unhappy I've been. I'm speechless. Unhappy? She'd never said a word about being unhappy. We had our arguments, sure, but nothing that even hinted at her feeling this way. And even if she was, why the hell was her first solution? To run to Daniel instead of talking to me? Rain starts falling lightly. Perfect backdrop for this nightmare. But then something hits me. Maybe this isn't new. Maybe she'd been unhappy for a while. And this thing with Daniel was just the part of the iceberg I could finally see. How long had this been going on behind my back? How many times had she lied? Smiled in my face while slipping away to him? Did anything happen between you two? My voice comes out shaky, barely holding it together. And I swear to God, Victoria, if you lie to me, there's a long pause. Too long. No, she finally says. But there's something off in her voice. Nothing happened. But I don't believe her. Can't. There's no way she could stand there, That comfortable with him, with nothing more behind it. Do you really expect me to believe that? My throat tight. After what I saw? After the way you were with him tonight? Believe what you want, she replies, voice cold again. But I'm not going to sit here and grovel. Just because you can't handle a little flirting, maybe if you actually paid attention to me, we wouldn't be here. And there it is. The mask finally slips. I see her for who she really is. This isn't about me. It isn't about us. It's about her. And her selfish need to feel wanted, to feel like the center of someone's world. She doesn't care about what this did to me, how it shattered everything I thought we had. She only cares about herself. Thunder crashes overhead, like nature agrees with my rage. And I know right then, this isn't going to end the way she thinks. Her words hang in the air like poison, twisting deeper into my chest with every breath. I'm done. Done trying to understand, done trying to see things from her warped perspective. My mind screaming with everything she said, her voice still echoing like a bad dream. Blaming me, flirting. She actually had the nerve to call it that, not sure whether to laugh or scream. The thing that guts me most isn't even the fact that she was with Daniel. It's the way she talks to me, like I'm an inconvenience. Like my feelings don't matter at all. Her self-righteousness, the way she brushes off what she did, tells me everything I need to know. Victoria, I say, trying to keep my voice calm, though every part of me wants to yell, if you really think this is about a little flirting, then you don't get it. This isn't just some stupid misunderstanding. You humiliated me tonight in front of everyone. And you didn't even care. She laughs. Actually laughs? Like what I'm saying is ridiculous. Oh my God. You're acting like I committed some crime. I told you it was harmless. Stop being so dramatic. That laugh, that cold, dismissive sound, hits me harder than any of her words. My pulse pounds in my ears, fists clenching at my sides. Rain pouring harder now, soaking through my clothes. Never felt this angry. Not once in my life. Could deal with her excuses. Even the lies, but the way she laughed, in the face of my pain. That was the final straw. I want you to answer me, Victoria. My voice low and steady, but rage bubbles just under the surface. How long has this been going on with Daniel? I mean the truth. Not the version you're trying to feed me. Silence on the other end of the line. No more excuses, no more playing it off. She knows this time is different. When she finally speaks again, her voice has lost its edge, but there's no remorse, just exhaustion. Like she's tired of pretending. Fine, she mutters. You want the truth? I don't know when it started. It just happened. Daniel and we clicked. He listens to me, pays attention to me, and yeah, maybe it went too far. But honestly, I'm not going to apologize. For needing someone who actually sees me, my chest tightens. Words hit me like a sledgehammer. She just admitted it, not even pretending anymore. All this time, while I was trying to keep us afloat, keep her happy, she was running off to Daniel for attention, now acting like I'm supposed to accept it, like I have no right to feel betrayed. Lightning flashes across the sky, illuminating the empty park around me. So you've been cheating on me? Say it quietly. Words feel foreign in my mouth. Saying it out loud makes it real. Not just a suspicion or fear anymore. It's the truth. Victoria doesn't deny it. Doesn't even try. Instead sighs like she's exhausted by the whole thing. I wouldn't call it that, really. I spit back. What would you call it then? Because from where I'm standing, it looks exactly like that. You've been seeing him behind my back, lying to me, disrespecting me in front of everyone. So tell me, what the hell else is it if not cheating? It's not that simple, she says. Voice defensive again? It's not like I planned it, okay? It just happened. And besides, nothing physical ever happened. We never, so if you're asking me if I cheated, then no, I didn't. Almost laugh at the absurdity. She really thinks she can draw some arbitrary line and make everything okay. That just because they hadn't crossed that line, I was supposed to let it slide. You're unbelievable, I say, shaking my head even though she can't see me. You think because you didn't cross some technical line, that makes it better? You think that changes the fact that you've betrayed me? That you've been sneaking around with him? Can hear her pacing on the other end, her breath quickening. She's not used to me pushing back like this. In the past, I'd always back down. Always tried to smooth things over. But this time is different. This time, I'm not letting her manipulate me. Look, I'm sorry if you feel like I crossed a line. Her tone half-hearted. But I don't think it's fair to call this cheating. You've been distant for months, and I don't want to hear another word about me being distant. Cut her off, my voice like ice. This isn't about me, Victoria. This is about you. You did this. You made this mess. And now you're trying to pin it on me. Because you can't face the fact that you screwed up. Rain beating against the ground. Each drop like another accusation. She doesn't say anything for a long time. Can hear her breathing, hear the frustration in the silence between us. Wonder if she's finally realizing that she can't spin this anymore, can't talk her way out of it, like she always did. When she finally speaks, her voice is low, bitter. So what now, huh? Are you just going to hold this over my head forever? Or are we actually going to talk like adults? It's almost laughable. She's still trying to turn the tables, still acting like this is some minor issue. We can just talk through. No, Victoria, I say. Voice calm, resolute. We're not talking through this. There's nothing to talk about anymore. Wind howls through the trees, like nature itself is screaming. Weight of my words settles in. For the first time all night, feel a strange sense of clarity, like I've been wandering in fog for months, and now everything is finally clear. This isn't something we can fix. I'm not going to let her drag me down. With her lies, her excuses, her selfishness. Not anymore. This is over, I say firmly. I'm done. And with that, I hang up. The silence that follows is deafening. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe again. When I hung up, the silence feels strange. Not the kind of quiet that gives you peace, but the kind that leaves your heart pounding, filling the space where 1,000 words should have been. Water drips from my soaked clothes, making puddles on the bench beneath me. My hand trembles as I put the phone down next to me. Don't know if it's the cold rain or the adrenaline crashing out of my system, but I suddenly feel empty. It's over, I said it. And the thing that shakes me most isn't the finality of it, but how certain I am. This isn't something I can fix. Victoria and I aren't going to sit down, hash it out, piece ourselves back together. She'd shattered something, and no amount of apologies or explanations could put it back in place. Weight of that realization crushes me, makes it hard to breathe. The perfect life I'd built with her, the future I thought we had, all crumbling in a single conversation. Sit there staring out at the empty park, trying to wrap my head around what comes next. Rain finally starts to let up. City lights glowing through the mist. My phone buzzes again. Victoria, no doubt, but I don't even look at it. Can't. There's nothing more to say. Instead, start thinking about the last few months. All the little signs I'd ignored, or maybe just hadn't wanted to see. The late nights when she claimed to be with friends. Times she was glued to her phone, smiling at texts she never showed me. The excuses when she came home late. Vague answers when I asked where she'd been. Looking back now, it's like watching a movie in reverse. Every scene suddenly making terrible sense. It all seems so obvious now. I'd been the fool, thinking she was just going through a phase. That maybe work was stressing her out, that she just needed some space. I gave her the benefit of the doubt, believing she'd come around, that we'd figure things out together. But she wasn't trying to figure anything out. She was looking for an escape, and she found it in Daniel. The worst part? She didn't even care enough to hide it. She was bold, reckless, parading it in front of our friends, like it didn't matter. The memory of her leaning into him, laughing, his arm around her, makes my stomach churn. I'd been standing right there, blindfolded and oblivious, while the rest of the room probably knew what was going on long before I did. Wonder how many of them had seen it. How many knew about Daniel and Victoria? Were they all laughing at me behind my back? The humiliation burns in my chest, but I push it down. Can't deal with that on top of everything else. A police siren wails in the distance. Someone's car alarm going off. The city never stops, even when your world does. No, I can't stay in this park forever. No matter how much I want to, just sit here lost in the quiet. I have to go back to the house eventually, have to face her. But the thought of walking back into that place, knowing she's still there, knowing he might still be there, it makes me sick. But I can't hide from this. I have to confront it head on. Stand up, the cold air biting at my skin, start walking back. Each step feels heavier than the last, like I'm dragging my entire life behind me. By the time I reach the street, lights from the house still on, music playing softly from inside. Most guests probably left by now, but can still hear murmur of voices. Autumn decorations casting weird shadows through windows. Walk up to the door and pause. Hand on the handle. Not sure what I'm expecting. Maybe that she'd be gone. That she packed up and left, knowing what was coming. But I know better. Victoria never runs from confrontation. She thrives on it. She'll be waiting, probably with another round of excuses. Or worse, she'll be sitting there, calm, collected, acting like none of this fazed her. That thought alone sends fresh wave of anger through me. But I push it down, open the door, and there she is, sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, like nothing happened. Doesn't even look up when I walk in. You came back, she says. Toned flat, like she'd expected me to leave. maybe even hoped for it. I stand there staring at her, waiting for something, an apology, a tear. Some sign that she regrets any of this. But there's nothing, just that cold, indifferent look she's been giving me all night. You're still here, I say, my voice sounding strange, hollow. She sighs and finally looks up, locks eyes with me. Where else would I go? It's late and I'm not going to run off. Just because you're having a meltdown? That was it. That was all she had to say. No apology, no remorse, just that. Clench my fists, fighting urge to shout, to throw everything back in her face. But I don't. I'm too tired for that. Too worn out by the whole thing. To give her the reaction she's baiting me for. We're done, Victoria, I say. Voice low but firm. I'm not doing this anymore. You don't get to sit there and act like I'm the one who's overreacting. You lied. You cheated. And now you want to pretend it's not a big deal. I'm done. She blinks, finally showing a flicker of emotion. Surprise, maybe? Or anger. Can't tell. What are you talking about? You're just going to walk away from this? From us? There is no us anymore, I shoot back. Shaking my head. Whatever we had, it's gone. You made sure of that? So yeah, I'm walking away. She stares at me for a moment, and for the first time that night, see something real in her expression. Fear. She knows I mean it. Picture frames on walls suddenly feel like memories from another life. That stupid throw pillow she bought last spring. Everything in this house now feels tainted. For the first time all night, her facade cracks. See it, the flicker of panic in her eyes. She stands up from the couch, her phone slipping from her hand, landing softly on the carpet, opens her mouth to say something. But no words come out at first. Can see her mind racing, trying to figure out how to regain control. How to spin this back in her favor? Victoria isn't used to losing. Not like this. You're being ridiculous, she finally says. Her voice shaking just a little. You're seriously going to throw away everything we've built? Over one stupid misunderstanding? I told you it didn't mean anything with Daniel. Why can't you just... Stop, I interrupt. Raise my hand to cut her off. Stop trying to make this about what I can or can't handle. This isn't a misunderstanding. You didn't just slip up. You've been lying to me, disrespecting me for months. And I let it slide because I thought, stop, choking back the bitterness rising in my throat. I thought you were still the person I married. Her face twists, half hurt, half defiant. I am still that person. You're just so wrapped up in your own world that you don't see it? Clock on the wall ticks loudly, marking each second of this nightmare. That was her move, always twisting it back on me, every single time. Like somehow this was all my fault, like I had driven her into Daniel's arms. But I'm not falling for it anymore. Don't try to pull that on me, I say. Step closer. You had a choice, Victoria. And you chose him? You chose to disrespect our marriage, our trust, and now you want me to act like it's just some mistake. I'm not buying it. She looks at me, desperation creeping into her voice now. I didn't choose him, okay? You've been so distant lately and I didn't know what else to do. It's not like I planned any of this. Daniel was just, he was there. And you weren't. I needed someone and you went to him, I finish for her. My voice tight. Instead of talking to me, instead of trying to fix things, you made a choice. You chose Daniel. For a moment, the weight of my words hangs between us. Her eyes flick away, and I know she doesn't have a defense. This is it. This is her final act, and the curtain has just dropped. Fall wind rattles the windows, like applauding the end of her performance. But Victoria isn't one to back down, not even when she's cornered. You think you're so righteous, she shoots back, her voice growing harder. You think just because you say we're done, that it's over? What about you, huh? You haven't been perfect either. You've been so checked out, so obsessed with your work, your life, that you barely even noticed me. So yeah, I got close to Daniel. Maybe too close, but at least he made me feel like I mattered. Her words sting, but not in the way she intended. It's the same song, just a different verse. She isn't sorry for what she did. She's sorry for being caught. The whole time she's trying to claw her way back into the narrative to make this mess of hers seem justified. The living room feels smaller now, like the walls are closing in. You really think that excuse is what you did? Say it while shaking my head. You think blaming me makes it okay? I don't know, she shouts. Her voice breaking now. I don't know what else to say. I'm trying to explain to you, but you won't listen. You're just walking away. She steps closer to me. For a split second, think I see something real in her eyes, something raw. Like maybe, just maybe, she's realizing what she's done, but it's too late. There's no turning back now. She can't talk her way out of this one. And deep down, I think she knows it. I am walking away, I say quietly. Because this isn't about a mistake. It's about who you've become. You've turned into someone I don't even recognize. She recoils like I'd slapped her. Can see the fear growing in her eyes. The realization that I'm not going to back down, that I'm not going to let her manipulate the situation. Like she always did. Photo albums on the shelf mock us. Years of memories now tainted. You're seriously just going to give up on us? She asks, voice trembling. After everything we've been through? I'm not giving up, I say. My tone soft but firm. I'm letting go. There's a difference. The room feels unbearably heavy. Air thick with all the things we haven't said. The lies she's spun. To keep me trapped in this cycle for so long? Our wedding photo on the wall stares down at us. Like a judge presiding over the end. I'd wanted to believe. That she was still the woman I fell in love with? That we could somehow go back to what we were. But that woman was gone. And this Victoria, the one standing in front of me now, she's someone else entirely. Where do we go from here? She asks, voice barely above a whisper. The fight has drained out of her? For the first time, she looks uncertain, like she doesn't know how to play this next hand. We don't, I reply. Weight of those words settling in. You get your things? I'll get mine. And we'll go our separate ways. I'm done pretending this can be fixed. Her eyes widen, panic flashing across her face again. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious in my life. She stands there staring at me, like I just shattered her world. Maybe I had, but the truth was, she'd shattered mine first, long before tonight. Family photos mock us from every wall, each one a reminder of what we're losing. Victoria doesn't say anything for a while, just stands there, biting her lip. Arms wrapped around herself, like she's trying to hold something in. I thought she might cry, might break down and beg me to stay, but she doesn't. She just looks away, her shoulders slumping, the fight draining out of her completely. Fine, she whispers, her voice hollow. If that's what you want, I nod. Even though it feels like a knife twisting in my chest, it's what I need. For a long time, we just stand there. In the living room, the silence between us, more telling than anything we could have said. It's over, and we both know it. There's no going back. Without another word, I turn and head for the door. I don't look back. Can't. If I did, I'm not sure I'd have the strength to leave. But as I step out into the cold night, one thing becomes crystal clear. I have to let her go, and this time for good. Step outside. Cold air hits me like a wall, biting through my clothes, waking me up to the reality of what just happened. Denver skyline glows in the distance. City lights blurred by fresh tears. I'm leaving my wife, my home, my entire life as I knew it. Weight of that decision presses down on me. But underneath it all, there's a strange sense of relief. Like I can finally breathe. After months of suffocating under her lies, my feet move automatically. But I have no idea where I'm going. Neighborhood is quiet now. Party long over. Just the faint sound of a car in the distance. And the hum of streetlights buzzing overhead. Glance back at the house once. Just once. Seeing the dim light still glowing from windows. Victoria is in there. Probably sitting on the couch in shock. Realizing I'm not coming back. Part of me expects her to run after me. To come storming out. Throw one last attempt at making me stay. But she doesn't. I think she knows it's useless now. That no amount of pleading or sweet talking could fix what she's broken. Reach the end of the street and stop, staring blankly at the intersection ahead. Where the hell am I supposed to go from here? Can't just keep walking aimlessly through the night. But going back to that house is out of the question. Denver's late-night traffic hums in the distance. Street signs pointing in different directions, like mocking my lack of direction in life. The thought of sleeping in the same bed, where she'd laid while thinking about Daniel, makes my skin crawl. I need distance. Pull out my phone, staring at the blank screen. No messages, no missed calls. She's given up too. Part of me is glad, but another part, deep down, still stings at the idea that she isn't fighting for me, for us, that she'd let me walk out that door without a real attempt to stop me. Open my contacts, scrolling through the list. Don't want to bother anyone at this hour, but I need to talk to someone who can help me make sense of all the chaos in my head. My thumb hovers over my brother's name, but I stop. He'd been suspicious of Victoria for months, always dropping little comments about her weird vibes or how he didn't trust, how close she'd gotten with Daniel, and I'd brushed him off every time, defending her, defending our marriage, saying he didn't understand. I'm not ready to admit to him that he'd been right. Scroll past names of friends who were at the party, Wonder how many of them knew. How many watched this tragedy unfold? Instead, scroll down. Find Oliver's name. My oldest friend, the guy who'd been there since high school, never once judged me. No matter how bad things got, if anyone can help me through this, it would be him. The phone rings twice. Before he picks up, his voice groggy and confused. Dude, it's like 2 a.m. What's going on? I don't even know how to start. Hey, Oliver. I need somewhere to crash tonight. I can't stay at my place. There's a pause. Can almost hear the gears turning in his head as he wakes up, piecing together the seriousness in my voice. What happened? You and Victoria get into it? Yeah, I say. My voice barely holding steady. It's bad, man. Really bad? I'll explain everything when I get there. But I can't be there right now. Jesus, Oliver mutters. Okay, come over. I'll make up the couch. You want me to pick you up or something? Nah, I'll walk. I need the air, I say. Grateful but still feeling disconnected. Like I'm floating outside my body, watching myself go through the motions. Thanks, man. No problem, he replies. Can hear the concern in his voice now. Just get here safe. Hang up! Shove my phone back into pocket. Start walking again. Denver's grid of streets stretches before me. Each intersection a new decision. Oliver's place isn't far. Just a few streets over, but the walk feels like it takes forever. Each step heavy with the weight of everything I'm leaving behind. As I make my way through quiet streets, my mind replays the night in vivid detail. Her eyes cold and distant. Daniel's smug face as he stood next to her, like I was the one intruding. The way she defended herself, shifting the blame onto me, trying to make it seem like I'd driven her into his arms. But worst of all was her indifference. She hadn't fought for me, hadn't begged for forgiveness. She'd let me go without a fight. I hate how that still hurts. Even after everything, dead leaves crunch under my feet. Nature's soundtrack to my broken marriage. I wanted her to fight for us, to show me she cared, but she didn't. Maybe she never had. Maybe all those nights she spent at Daniel's, all those innocent text messages, I pretended not to notice, were just the start of something. I'd been too blind to see. Maybe she had checked out. Long before I did, reach Oliver's house, the porch light casting warm glow. Over the driveway, Halloween decorations still up, somehow making everything feel more surreal. I stand there for a moment, taking it in, grounding myself. Before I knock, Oliver opens the door a few seconds later, his face half hidden in dim light, but I can see the concern, etched in his expression. Come in, man, he says, stepping aside to let me through. You look like hell. Feels like it, I mutter, dropping my jacket onto the floor. As I step inside, the warmth of his house hits me, smell of coffee brewing in kitchen. A small kindness? He'd probably started it the second I called. Steam rising from the pot like ghosts. Clock on the wall showing 2:30 a.m. He doesn't press me for details right away, just hands me a mug, sits across from me on the couch. You want to talk about it? He asks gently. Knowing I'll get to it when I'm ready, I stare into the coffee, watching steam curl up into the air. For a long time, I don't say anything, but then the words come spilling out. Tell him everything. About the party, about Daniel, about the sick prank that turned my life upside down. Tell him about Victoria's excuses, her lies, the way she tried to make it all about me, about how distant I'd supposedly been. His living room feels safe, like a bunker from the storm outside. By the time I finish, my throat is raw, hands gripping the mug so tight, my knuckles have gone white. Oliver doesn't say much as I talk, just nods, letting me get it all out. When I'm done, he sighs, leaning back into the couch. That's messed up, man, he says. Shaking his head, I knew something was off with her, but I didn't think it was this bad. You really think it's over? I nod, the finality of it settling into my chest, like a lead weight. It's over. It has to be. I can't stay in a marriage where I'm not respected, where she's doing whatever she's doing with Daniel. Oliver doesn't argue with me. He just nods again, his expression serious. You did the right thing by leaving. You don't deserve that. I know, I say quietly. But it doesn't make it hurt any less. His cat jumps up between us, like trying to offer comfort. We sit there in silence for a while, weight of the situation pressing down on us both. The end of a marriage is never easy, no matter how justified it is. And even though I know this is the right move, it still feels like I'm mourning something. Mourning the life I thought I had, the person I thought she was. I'll be here as long as you need, Oliver says. After a while, giving me a reassuring nod. We'll get through this, man. I manage a small smile, grateful for his support. But deep down I know, getting through this will be harder than just walking out that door. His coffee table has old photos of us in high school, reminders of simpler times, when love didn't feel like a weapon. The night stretches out before me, full of uncertainties. Every memory of Victoria now feels like a knife twisting deeper. Every plan we made, every dream we shared, all poisoned by what she did. City lights flicker outside his window. Denver never sleeps, even when your world stops turning. Tomorrow I'll have to face reality, figure out where to go from here, deal with the aftermath, the questions, the gossip, the dividing of our lives. But for now, I just sit here, in my best friend's living room, holding a cooling cup of coffee, watching the night tick away, and wondering how everything could fall apart so fast over one betrayal, one moment of truth. That showed me who she really was. Last fall leaves tap against the window. Nature's quiet reminder that everything must end. At least I know now better to see her true colors than live in a lie, even if the truth hurts like hell.